Welcome back, everyone. It's pizza time. You probably saw the big announcement that Marvel just made. They're actually getting ready to bring Sam Raimi on to do Doctor Strange 2. It is one of the greatest possible surprises we could have gotten this week. There's a bunch of Easter eggs in the announcement. It means a lot of really cool things, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. We're doing that Infinity Saga box set giveaway for all the movies. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies on the video. So we'll just break this down top 5 style, starting with number 5. When Scott Derrickson left Doctor Strange 2 a little while ago, Marvel reported that there would be no delay on Doctor Strange 2's release date. It's supposed to come out at the beginning of May 2021 next year. Marvel also confirmed that they were still going to start shooting the movie in the next few months, meaning they probably already had some backup choices for directors ready to go. One of my fantasy picks in the video that I posted for that was Sam Raimi himself, and apparently Kevin Feige still has him on speed dial because he seems like he was their top choice. It's only been a couple weeks since Scott Derrickson announced he left the movie, and he is a great fit for the movie for several reasons. Doctor Strange 2 is going to be the first scary quote-unquote MCU movie. PG-13 horror really is what Kevin Feige is saying, and while most of you know Sam Raimi from the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, Sam Raimi got his start doing indie horror movies like Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. He still makes low-budget horror films between big studio movies, and there's even a very prophetic Doctor Strange scene in Spider-Man 2 that a lot of you remember, is that somehow he always knew that doing a Doctor Strange movie or doing Doctor Strange the character would be in the cards.
Guy named Otto Octavius winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds? Hoffman!
Yeah?
What are we gonna call this guy?
Dr. Octopus.
That's crap.
Science Squid?
Crap.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good. But it's taken. Wait, I got it. Dr. Octopus.
But I like it.
Of course you do.
It's funny how the context for that scene has changed so much just because of him coming on to do Doctor Strange 2. And if you've never watched any of his Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness movies, those are pretty much horror comedy movies. They're just flat out great movies, so go watch them this weekend if you haven't seen them. You'll love Bruce Campbell. Very groovy. Number 4, next big cool deep cut Easter egg. Doctor Strange 2 won't be the first time Sam Raimi and Kevin Feige have worked together on a giant Marvel movie. Because Kevin Feige helped out on the original Sony Spider-Man movies, you won't find him anywhere in the behind-the-scenes pictures or in the credits because at that point in his career, he was still pretty low on the totem pole at Marvel Studios underneath a Via Rod. It wasn't really until he took over as president of Marvel Studios and they made Iron Man 1 that Kevin Feige started putting his name on everything and his presence was known in a much bigger way. He started being the person in front of the camera talking about these movies. Here's a really good example of early era Kevin Feige from the set of the very first X-Men movie. This movie was released in 2000, but the picture was taken in 1999, over 20 years ago now. Baby Kevin Feige working on the Marvel movies. It's just that they're all Marvel movies being made by other studios at that point. We also learned recently that when they started making the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, the Infinity Saga, Kevin Feige did have a plan to cross over Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man with the Avengers, because that was long before Tom Holland ever entered into their minds. I'll explain that in a second because they actually released footage as evidence of that, some cool deleted scenes. But it was revealed during Doctor Strange 2 that because the title is literally Multiverse of Madness, that we'd be seeing alternate versions of the characters that we know. So a lot of you now have theories about potential for a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man cameo, maybe even Bruce Campbell or Ted Raimi, his brother. Or at the very least, some Easter eggs for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, because the joke is, Sony has already been trying to do that, tie all the Spider-Man movies together in the Venomverse, and then tie that to the Marvel Cinematic Universe inside the Morbius trailer. So number 3, Sony's attempt to cross over with the Marvel movies. We were talking about this when they first dropped the Morbius trailer. The trailer itself is the combination of 3 different franchises. The Venomverse movies, because of the Morbius character, it's a direct Venom spin-off. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies, which Sony made, because of the specific Spider-Man costume. This is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man costume. The Tom Holland Marvel Spider-Man movies, because of the graffiti blaming him for the death of Mysterio at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. And again with the Marvel Spider-Man movies because of the Michael Keaton Vulture cameo scene wearing his same prison uniform from the Spider-Man Homecoming post-credit scene. So we're all wondering now if they're going to let Sam Raimi reference his Spider-Man movies, and then we can say he exists in the multiverse, in a different universe, but Sony is laughing because they kind of already did that. Maybe you remember Amy Pascal even tried to explain it this way when they were promoting Spider-Man Homecoming. Remember the funny meme interview of Kevin Feige reacting to Amy Pascal, all uncomfortable? She's trying to explain how the Spider-Verse Venom movies will loosely be connected to the MCU movies through the Spider-Man Tom Holland character.
Be adjuncts to it. They may be different locations, but it will still all be in the same world, and they will be connected to each other as well.
So it's clear watching that clip from a couple years ago that Kevin Feige wasn't totally sure about how all this Spider-Man multiverse crossover stuff would work, so he's squirming a little bit because he didn't want to say something prematurely before they'd figured everything out. I've already done a few Spider-Man videos about how that Tom Holland Spider-Man crossover stuff is going to work with the Marvel movies, with the Sony Spider-Man and Venom movies. It sounds more complicated than it is, so I'll link that video in the description. Number 2, the WandaVision trailer is just the beginning of big Multiverse Doctor Strange 2 story-based stuff. In that trailer, they reference expanding the Marvel Universe. It's speaking of the new Disney Plus Avengers stuff they're doing, like, look at all the cool stuff we're doing with the movie people on Disney Plus. But it's also a clever meta-reference to the expanding of the Marvel Cinematic Universe through the multiverse as a story device, which we can speculate about X-Men characters, Fantastic Four, Venom crossovers. But last summer at Comic-Con, Marvel and Kevin Feige revealed that the multiverse is the next big story device that they're going to lean on heavily during Marvel Phase 4, whereas before during the Infinity Saga, it was the Infinity Stones. Now it's all about threats from the multiverse. That also kind of gets into what's going on in the Loki trailer footage from the weekend. I'll be doing a video for that too because it's really cool. But WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 are the first places we'll see them confronting that head on. The number 1, this is really cool, the original plan for crossing over Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man with the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So recently, you recall, Marvel released a deleted scene from the first Iron Man post-credit scene as part of the Infinity Saga box set. It was an alternate version of the Nick Fury post-credit scene where he's telling Iron Man about the Avengers initiative. Except in this version of the deleted scene, he references Spider-Man and X-Men by name.
As if gamma accidents, radioactive bug bites, and assorted mutants weren't enough, I have to deal with a spoiled brat who doesn't play well with others and wants to keep all his toys to himself.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger initiative.
Well, what are we avenging?
Whatever the hell we want.
So radioactive spiders and mutants, they did the scene that way because Kevin Feige always had plans to try and cross Spider-Man over with the Avengers and the X-Men characters, but at the time that they filmed this scene, they didn't have deals in place with Sony or Fox to share any of those characters, which is why they had to cut it out of the movie. The reason why the Spider-Man referenced in that scene is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is because when they did this scene, it was a long time before Sony ever recast Spider-Man as Andrew Garfield. That didn't happen until 2010, like look at the date in this announcement. Iron Man 1 came out in 2008, so at the time, Tobey Maguire was still Spider-Man and Sony still had plans to make Spider-Man 4. Then obviously a couple years later, Sony changed their mind, decided to completely reboot that franchise with Andrew Garfield. But let me know in the comments, if they let Sam Raimi reference his Spider-Man movies and Tobey Maguire in some way, what do you want that to look like? Remember, keep your expectations low. I don't actually think Tobey Maguire is going to have a cameo scene during Doctor Strange 2, but it's really easy for them to include an Easter egg for his Spider-Man if they're already going to be showing us different versions of other characters from the multiverse.
I'm gonna go to the store. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Alternatively, we could order a pizza.
Pizza time.
Thanks.
I can't just drop out of school.
Might be a little dangerous. Better tell Hottie I'm taking
See you, chump.
What'll happen next is I'll be doing my Loki trailer video. There's a whole bunch of really cool multiverse stuff that they're setting up and multiverse villains. So as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see that video when I post it. Everyone click here for my WandaVision trailer video and click here for that new Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay awesome. It's pizza time.